Well, I'm really new to this college, so I'm really interested in people's teaching experiences here, especially during COVID, and what questions they had, things that came up, things we should think about in the administration part of the college that we may not know about because we don't teach. This is the first administrative job I've had where I haven't taught, so it's really hard for me. I sort of miss teaching, so I'm really curious about those sort of things. So that would be and help you, with questions or some feedback. So that's why I'm here and how I perceive my role. How's that?
Sir, I have to say that I really miss teaching face to face. I miss the students. I miss the camaraderie. I miss coming to campus and seeing everybody. It's been difficult for Michelle and I because we would go in every day and see everybody and talk and have a good time. I've had good students the last couple of semesters that we've been online. I've had a couple that have gotten sick. I had one that went to her uncle's funeral in Chicago back in, I guess it was April, and she came back and got the virus and she died. So it's been a real sad situation for some people in terms of getting this thing, not being cautious enough. I know that some people are having some food issues and some money issues, economic issues with a lot of the students some of the students that I'm hearing, some of them lost their jobs. So it's been a real trial. It's been real difficult in some cases, but in other cases it's been good.
Sheldon, what do you got, brother?
I've just tried to be flexible with the students. It's been, as everyone knows, it's been a challenging time. I've decided I haven't tried to police every, I'm sick or this person got sick or that person got sick. I just take it, for your word that if you say that you are sick or someone in your family is ill, or I've had students who said that the entire family was sick. Everyone had COVID. Right. And so some people presented an excuse. But if they didn't, I didn't try to chase them down for it. I just took their word for it. Basically, what I did was just tell everyone, I expect that you're going to be honest in this whole process that we're going through. I'm going to count on you to be honest. And I'm not going to try to police every I'm sick or whatever the case is. And that worked for me. The other thing is for a couple of my classes, I do mock interviews. So I have also had the chance to talk to a lot of my students throughout the course of the semester. And so besides just interviewing them and asking them, what do you want to do for the rest of your life or that type of stuff, we've had pretty personal conversations as well. They told me what they were going through. I've had students record their speeches in a storage room at work and send it in to me, and they had no audience. And I was like, okay, well, look, if you could do it in the storage room at work because you've got a 15-minute break because you're working 2 jobs, I'm okay with that, And so it's like I had to be flexible when it's to certain things. And it doesn't mean that they got all necessary because you needed an audience, but I had to still keep in mind that this is somebody who's still working 2 jobs and still trying to get their presentations done and all that sort of stuff. So if they could do it, then I could be flexible and work with them. And so, that's kind of what I've been dealing with. For me, the word is flexibility. And that's what I've been working with as we're going through this whole process.
I'm going to guess the person behind you there, that looks like
Nelson Mandela.
Nelson Mandela.
You didn't even let me guess, Sheldon. I was there and you didn't even let me guess. Okay. Now, everybody here, everybody that I can see, all of you are outstanding teachers, you're veteran teachers. So I know you're sitting there going, yeah, I know all this. I'm a great teacher. I'm going to do my own thing and all of that. And we do. But what we pull this together for is for an opportunity to discuss things that are new, things that you have used that have been successful, for example, in syllabuses. You know, in the climate that we have right now, for those of us that use discussion boards or essays or Sheldon with speeches, you know, are you putting things in your syllabus or things that you've already put in your syllabus to get control or kind of provide guidelines for students that are going to voice opinions that you may not agree with, that you may not like, but it doesn't matter whether you agree with them or whether you like them or not. They are allowed to express those opinions. But have you seen anywhere where you may have to provide a better structure of things that you do to be more successful in engaging students, encouraging a dialogue in your syllabus, but also keeping it structured?
I think Marcia has her hand up.
Yeah, and I was going back to what y'all were talking about. When we first had to, you know, go to online, it worked out really good with Collaborate. It really did, because I just took whatever time we met on campus, that's the time we met on, you know, on everything else. But the second time we did it, I had problems with finding times for my students to meet on Collaborate, because it would bump heads with somebody else's class, or they were at work or whatever. So no, did anybody else have those problems? I mean, I would ask the students, I could ask the class of 15, and I would have 15 different times that they could meet. I mean, so all of us together, you could record it, but it still wasn't the same thing.
Right.
I think Taylor?
So what did y'all do? Because that kind of bothered me. We tried early morning, we tried late in the afternoon.
Hi.
Marisha, I tried the same thing. And it worked in the spring. The second 8 week, it worked when we went online. It didn't work in the summer. I had to meet with them several times a day and lecture. And they weren't an hour and 20-minute lectures, but they were a lot shorter. But meet with them some mid-morning, some afternoon, and some at night, just to get them to just have time to work with them. So that's what worked for me. Now in the fall semester, what I did was I told them, look, if you have questions, just I didn't meet with them online, other than give them weekly assignments, and they had and that worked out. Seemed to work out better.
Okay.
Hi, I'm nursing, and we're a little, you know, we tend to be a little regimented on how we do some things, but I had a clinical and a theory class, which clinical was half and half, online, half clinical, but the theory class is more in line with the way you guys teach. And we have a set time that we have a Blackboard collaborative, and then we record it, of course, for anybody that cannot attend. I had very few people that did not attend, but when I had them that maybe didn't start with me, but when I took my first little break, I would send them an email basically saying, I miss you in class. And I created like a more traditional classroom. I had very few absences. I had people late, people that had to leave early, but at least they showed up.
That's all.
It was pretty clear from the beginning. That's when Blackboard Collaborative, from the very beginning, this is when it's going to be, and I'll be there. Now, I did a lot more phone calls, a lot more one-on-ones than I normally do. I would say that I touch base with the weak students probably 2 or 3 times in the semester, and even the stronger students probably reached out once or twice. So, I mean, it's a lot more conversations than I've had in the past.
So for the few teachers that teach that are synchronous, how is your success rates? Are you finding them that they're just as good as asynchronous? I mean, what are we thinking? Because I know the administration, Dr. Mills and above, would definitely prefer that we do asynchronous, but for the people that are synchronous, did you see good success rates?
That's a good question.
Victoria, what do you got over there?
Victoria's got a question.
Yeah, I saw that. I saw that, my friend.
I did synchronous teaching, and again, with it being nursing, you know, our students are very committed, especially in their last semester, and so I had just about 100% attendance, and if students weren't going to be there, they emailed me to let me know. I think with speaking of the differences between the last semester complex course and maybe a first English 1 course, the stakes are very much high. They're very higher, you know, they're really high. They have to pass this course, they have to do well. And so I think that's what the difference is. But I also think that having it recorded where students can access it at a later date is very advantageous, because my students said that they would go back and listen to the class itself over again. So, you know, it's 50-50 really, but as far as the nursing program having problems with synchronous, I didn't personally.
Okay, so let me ask you this, for everybody else that's teaching asynchronous, how did we see our success rates? Did we have, did our students stay in there, or did we lose quite a few, and what do you think were the reasons that we lost? If you want to throw your hand up, all right, I see Taylor and then Terry. Taylor, tell me something real quick. I know you got something for me.
Yeah, so we did, I went fully asynchronous, and I was very surprised because I did expect to have a lot of drop off from my classes, and they stuck with it, and I really didn't have any issues. I had a couple people that went MIA. One of them was because of COVID, but really my success rates weren't any different than I would have seen in a regular semester. So I was pleasantly surprised with that.
Nice.
Terry, what do you got for me?
I had the same success rates as well, and I was pretty surprised by that. But I can tell you, I email students every single day. The more I email them, the more they turn in work on time.
I did that as well. Yeah, I had daily dates that people, or the days that we would have met on a regular semester. So for example, oceanography meets Tuesday, Thursday. They had deadlines every Tuesday and every Thursday. So that helped to keep them engaged as well.
Gilly's got a finger up.
I just have a quick question. I'm just curious. Do you think that when we go back to face-to-face, do you think that that culture will continue of students being much more communicative with you, that they would expect that same level? Or do you think they'll just go back to the way it was?
Back to the way it was.
I think it really depends on the instructor.
You think?
And how well they want to communicate with the students. Certainly we encourage it. And for the most part, students will accept that encouragement and will communicate, but you know, it just depends on the student if they want to or not. I like what Robin Baker said in the chat, where she records something and they have all week to listen to it, and then they email her back and forth, and that's the way she stays communicating with them.
I just wonder if it's going to impact teaching, like how it's going to change.
Hey, Brianna. Brianna's got a question. She got her hand up. What do you got, Brianna?
Actually, I got a comment. It's Kat. Hey, good to see you, Chad. It's been a while.
I know, right?
Right. So yeah, so I was just going to comment about the question that Dean Gilly is bringing up, is that I think that, you know, with the changes that we've had when we go back to synchronous, maybe in 10 years, whenever it is, that it's going to just maybe enhance the teaching that we already do. Like, for example, I use Mentimeter. It's kind of like an interactive lecture. And some people are like, well, what happens? You paid for that. What if we go back in the fall? And it's like, well, you know, if we go back in the fall, I can still use that in my classroom. Like, there's so many tools. Like, I was even thinking back when I start, you know, in person, that I might still record my lectures. You know, maybe students would enjoy that and be able to go back and some of the resources. But I think there's one benefit, that as much as I feel like I've put in like like double the work since, going online and everything, and there's more time, is that we really get more one-on-one with student. And some students that would never reach out for help and ask for it, now they're desperate. Like they have no options. They're stuck at home with their kids. They've got like no way to get any work done. And so I think there's just a real benefit to kind of utilizing all these student development resources that we didn't know exist, and really meeting the students where we're at, which, in person, there's such these large groups, we get to do a lot more, I guess, intricate one-on-one with our students. So I'm hoping it could be a positive benefit that maybe, we're in person, but we're still utilizing some of these tools that we learned when we were kind of stuck here online. So I'll pass.
And so, Kat, you're at Hogsworth. Is that where you're at? I mean, you're.
Yeah.
I see that.
Yeah, it's in case my husband walks around in his boxer shorts behind me. So yeah.
And, before we go any further, we're going to have to pick up a collection to pay for Hector to get a new router because his face has been frozen for the last 10 minutes. So
My router in the country, it's bad. I'll tell you, it's real bad.
I want to jump in.
Tara's got her hand up.
Janet Rodriguez had asked a question in the chat earlier on. Any advice on tools and techniques developing engaging videos?
Yeah, I got nothing on that.
I would suggest asking
people say if you do shorter, right? Instead of doing your whole long lecture or talk, break it into smaller chunks.
Taylor had some good ideas too.
That's what
I would definitely ask Jeanette Laredo. She is like the guru when it comes to that kind of stuff, and she would be more than happy to give you some tips on that. I actually had a one-on-one with her a little while ago, and the ideas that she had just blew me away.
Yeah, Jeanette's been fantastic, bar none, on a lot of things. She really deserves a lot of praise for what she's been doing. She's been
Great
fantastic.
Great job.
So let me ask you this: when you're teaching, because some of you teach online for Connect, and some of you teach at Trinity River, are you seeing that your students that are used to taking online classes seem to do much better and are much better prepared than our students that are anticipating an on-ground class but are having to take it online? And what do you think you can do to help level the playing field where they can be just as do just as well as the ones that are really dedicated online students? What do you got for me?
I think they did about this. I think mine did about the same. I had one or two that I worried about because I tried to talk a lady through some things and we never could get it. So she went up to the school. She wound up dropping the class because she just couldn't. She had never taken anything online before. But I think my students did pretty good. I gave them grace periods, though, especially if they had never taken an online class. Instead of the first week taking a grade, we did something like your introduction and some other things so that it wouldn't count that much against you. So I think they did pretty good.
Okay. So let me ask you this. Let me change topics real quick. As far as communication, not just between you and the students, but communication between the faculty and the administration. I mean, Dean Gilley's very new. I'll say for Dean Gilley, she's excited about getting to meet everybody and know everyone. But how do you feel that the communication is between the faculty and the administration? What do you think we can do to improve it if it needs to be improved? What recommendations would you have that, Dean Gilley can take to the administration that will improve communication between us?
I have words on this. Basically, I felt that communication improved, and part of that is due to the fact that we went online, and now we're kind of at each other's beck and call, in the sense that you can be in the middle of a meeting and literally just call somebody in and they can answer. But with that as well, I feel that perhaps it got too expected that if you're called in on something, you need to be there. And I found myself getting tossed onto a meeting 5 minutes before it started and being expected to be there whenever I'm in the middle of recording a lecture or something like that. So I do feel that administrative and that communication between administration and my other colleagues improved, but along with that came some other
issues.
Okay, so the crazy thing is when I ask a question, I'm going to actually need people to participate. There's 52 of you in there right now, and very few of you are saying anything. So let's throw some words of wisdom out there, Dr. Q, that I can see you. He's got to grab his fancy headphones and mic. Uh-oh. There he goes. What do you got for me, Dr. Q?
In terms of communication, nothing that hasn't been already said. I haven't really been called into meetings at the drop of a hat, but I think Dr. Gilley's been doing a great job so far with keeping communication channels open. So there's really no recommendations that I would give, at least at this point off the top of my head.
Terry?
I really appreciate when we get emails about special engagement activities for students, and it doesn't matter which side of the house it's coming on. I post those to all my students as extra credit opportunities that can make up for them missing assignments, for them being ill, what have you. But I know the more engaged they are, the more likely they are to stick with it. So I count it all as gain. And it's very, very helpful to have the link as opposed to like the new library literacy course they do every time. And they send it out. And that's so much better than having to surf the web to find that link and send it out myself. And I just say keep up that great work because a lot of students do participate. Like, for instance, the literary magazine, I've already emailed all my classes and said, hey, to all you creatives out there, here's the flyer. We would love to have you to submit your work and share your voice and perspective.
Thank you, Terry. DeShonta and Tara and Dean Gilley, I'd like y'all to chime in. What are your expectations from an administrative point of view towards faculty? I mean, as far as checking the emails, getting back to you, those type of things. Do you see any issues that faculty could improve upon? DeShonta, if you want to go first.
Well, thanks for calling me out, Chad.
You're welcome. Anytime. Don't worry about it.
I just wanted to sit in the back of the room and listen.
I know, right? I know.
I think from an administrative standpoint, the same kind of expectation that we have in regards to, and maybe I should ask the question, are you referring to expectations in contacting students or responding back to students?
No, interaction with the faculty. Like if
interaction,
you have something you need to send out to faculty.
I would say ideally 24 to 48 hours would be great. I haven't had any type of situation where I haven't had a response. So for everyone that I have been communicating with, keep it up. So I would definitely say for me, at least around 24 to 48 hours, especially I understand faculty and their schedules. I'm not sure what Dr. Mills is requesting, but for me, yeah, 24 to 48 hours is great.
Tara, what do you think?
You know, I've always been super pleased with the response from our faculty and staff. Anytime I send out a request for information or anything like that, I think 24 to 48 hours is absolutely, we'll asterisk the business hours. If you know me, I'm generally not available on the weekends, and I appreciate that from everyone else because that keeps my inbox from being full on Monday morning. So I think just keep on doing what you're doing. I think all of our I can't think of a single instance where a faculty member hasn't gotten back to me with an issue or a concern. And so I want to applaud you guys and thank you for that consistent good feedback, especially if you're one of my greatest hits that I bug all the time. So thanks for that.
Dean Gilley?
Oh, agreed. Everybody's been so helpful and gets right back to you. I think from my side, especially during the grading final exam, because I was kind of new, I took that into consideration too. I think also on the other side, I think we have to be aware there's times when the faculty are pretty busy grading and maybe be a little aware of that. That's my viewpoint on things. That helps.
Sheldon, what do you think?
It's been good, Chad. I haven't had any problems with communicating with anyone. I think from week one, day one, I got to know Dr. Gilly, and we've had a couple proposals to work on. So we really
Baptism by
hit the
fire,
road running.
That's right.
Tara, you know, whenever I see Tara sends an email, I just get back to her because it's Tara, you know. So, you know, I haven't had any kind of issues or anything like that. So it's been pretty good. You know what I think helped? I think for me in the last 10 years, almost 11 years I've been at the Trinity River campus, people have developed really good working relationships. And so even when we left campus and, you know, we're working from home or whatever, those relationships were already in place for the most part. And so it's really easy to navigate and talk to people and just kind of build on that. And I think in the fifth floor, if I could give a shout out to the humanities fifth floor, well, let me not say that, but fifth floor. And we have a really good working relationship on the fifth floor. And so we communicate a lot with Chad, Justin, Karina, all of us, Rick, April, Ernie, you know, everyone, Janet, Angela. So I think those relationships are already in place, and I guess across the campus. And I think that really helped when we left the physical campus and we came online. I think those relationships being in place really, really did help. So A1 for me as far as communication is concerned.
Yeah, I just want to make one correction of that, Sheldon. Rick is not on the fifth floor. He's
That is
not
true.
part of the group. We're moving him to the 8th floor, the parking garage, when we return. So I'm just want to be clear about that. Just no, you know, just no. So as far as communication between our administration and our faculty, is there anything that you think that we can improve on? I mean, is there
Well, Chad,
there
can I throw a
ways
time
that-
out? There was somebody who's trying to jump in.
Oh, I'm sorry, I didn't see any hands.
Professor, I know I can't. Sometimes I can't find those hands. Professor.
Oh, Dr. Madison, Dr. Madison. Oh, no.
You didn't call me out, but I wanted to applaud everyone on the call for their responsiveness. Occasionally, I will send an email directly to a faculty member or to a teammate or a colleague or what have you, and have never really had any issues with responses. Traditionally, sometimes my responses require a little bit more of an immediate response as relates to, you know, sometimes I can't wait 24 hours. So I certainly thank Deshanta for placing that in the chat, 24 to 48 business hours. In most cases, I'm just sharing an article or something I ran across or some activities, and you can trash it in most cases. And in some cases, I actually have some information that I'd like to know or something. I'm sending something that requires a response. And again, I think overwhelmingly, you know, folks have been responsive. So I thank you. I try to be sensitive to sending email to individuals. I primarily work with Dr. Mills or with the deans, with I see Dr. Gilly on here, or with Tara and the vice president or what have you. So I traditionally try to keep whatever needs to be communicated within the group. But at times, I certainly will share something or request something of a faculty member, and it's appreciated rather if individuals would, you know, give a response when that happens. So does that help, Professor Woolley?
Yes, sir. But I see that Kristen Hemingway has got her hand up.
Oh,
So
my
Dr.
goodness.
Madison, be prepared. She will be coming right at you.
Oh my goodness.
Kristen, go ahead.
Oh, Kristen, be gentle.
No. This, I just have a question. It's really not, I'm sorry, Dr. Madison, it's not bouncing off of what you're saying. So if you're not finished, Dr. Madison, go for it.
No, I am finished. I just wanted to respond to Professor Woolley's comment that I certainly appreciate the responsiveness of everyone on the call and in terms of communication. And by that same token, those of you who send things to me, but just because of who I am, 9 times out of 10, you're going to get a response probably within 5, 10, 15 minutes, 30 minutes, or what have you. I try to be as accessible as I possibly can, even if it's at 1 a.m., 2 a.m., anyone, usually I can be reached at any time. And my teammates also know that I'm easily accessible when it comes down to, we work for you. If there's a situation that you need some support with, we certainly want to address, and we hopefully don't want you waiting 24 hours to get a response. And that response might be, got it, I'm on it, I'm working on it, or what have you, because, we're all a team. So we certainly want to be responsive to faculty as well. And if we're not responsive, we certainly, you have a representative who has been working with us to make sure that we are responsive as an administrative team. So happy to do that as well. And chain of command, yeah, I see chain of command. Sometimes that works, sometimes that doesn't. We're all a team.
So let me, Kristen, before you ask, we got Dr. Madison here, let me ask him real quick. Dr. Madison, what are your expectations for the faculty? What do you see that, you would like to see us improve in? What do you see that we're doing great? If you would just tell us quickly what, for this 2021, what do you feel like we can do to make TR even, better than the best that we are?
The only thing that I would encourage you to do is ask your students. I think they're our primary stakeholders here. And the more you're engaged with students and making sure that you're creating an optimal teaching and learning environment for them under the circumstances, the better. So it's not so much anything that I'm requesting. I think, continue to do what you're doing and engage the students and work with them. Most of anything that, again, you need from us, you're communicating directly with the Vice President of Academic Affairs, with the deans, and I'm here as a resource to really just kind of help in any way that I can. But I think, I've not heard many issues. If there are, you all, the leadership, the deans, the chairs, you all are handling them as a team, and I think that's the way it should be. So I don't necessarily have any comments, Professor Woolley, in as much as, ask your students day one, what can we do to continue to support their success? And we're happy to figure out, we have an outstanding student development services team. If there are things that we need to do there, we certainly can do that. So sounds like a trick question, Professor Woolley, but that's an honest answer. I really am here to support you all and your success, and as you support the success of students. So does that help?
Yes, sir. One thing I took away from that is the phrase, y'all work for us. So I will be putting that at the bottom of all my emails that I send to upper administration. Okay, I'm just saying. That's all I'm just telling you. That's what I'm going to do. So, Kristen, go ahead.
You're welcome to do so, Professor Woolley. Thank you.
All right. Thank you, Dr. Madison. We deeply appreciate it. Kristen, what do you got for me?
All right. Well, my question or comment, I just kind of want some people's opinions. I kind of chop my work day up because I like to be in the early afternoon. I need to get the kids home from school, get them off to their sport. So I kind of take a break in that area, and I do no work because I'm shuffling them around. And then once they're at their sporting events that they do every night, I kind of jump back on work to make up for those few hours that I should have been working in that early afternoon. And I do shoot out emails during that time, so it's kind of later than usual. I definitely don't expect responses, but I shoot them out so that I don't forget. So I kind of want to know, would you guys, because Tara, bouncing off of what you said, because you said you don't like emails piling up over the weekend or whatsoever, so they're not a bunch on Monday. But during the week, do you guys not like waking up to emails in the evening, meaning I should just let them sit in my draft folder and just shove them all out in the morning? Or does anyone else work like that, where they kind of chop it up? Or what are your opinions?
No, I think what you do is perfect. I think that we all have kind of our boundaries and our rhythms on how we work. And so, but I know that not all, I think there's 90 of us that are on this call right now. Not everybody's going to be firing off emails to the same people at the same time every day. And so, I think whatever works for you is perfect. Don't change that, because that's what works for you. And then it's the responsibility of the receiver to, manage their inbox and the prioritize all the other things that they have going on and respond in a timely fashion. So no, I think what you do is perfect.
I agree with Tara. I'm a person that really believes in work-life balance, and I'm to the point where unless it's an absolutely crucial email that I must answer, I flag and forget. So then that way the next day, whenever I get onto my my Outlook thing, I've got the flags arranged as tasks, and then I can tackle them. So by all means, send out your emails and do them on your schedule and stuff like that. And then, like Tara said, it's up to the person that's receiving it on whether or not they want to focus on worrying about it, or whether they want to flag and forget, or what they want to do.
I see Brenda Clark's out there. Brenda, what do you got for us?
Well, I just wanted to mention, especially being an administrator, sometimes when we send emails to our faculty and it's after hours or on the weekend, they feel that it's necessary to respond to those emails in a timely manner. And in order to avoid that stress on the faculty members, what I will do, because I don't want to forget something that I want to send, I will compose that email, but then I will schedule it to be sent at a later time. That way I don't forget.
I do that too, but you know what's strange is when you schedule those and they send it, it still posts the time that you scheduled it at, which I know is not a big deal. It just drives me nuts. Does that make sense?
Yeah, that is kind of a strange glitch.
Annoying.
But
Yeah,
then
it's
people
just
realize that you're working after hours or on the weekend.
So let me ask you this, would a possibility, and I don't know, Dr. Madison, or everyone wants to chime in on this, Dr. Gilley, would it be possible or something where we could have a set time? Let's just say Monday mornings. Monday mornings emails come down from administration, or Tuesday or third, or whatever the case may be, with instructions, with things like this, because I know with my faculty as a department chair, I know that they get burned out continually, having to look at emails and through the days and that type of stuff. I mean, I wonder if there's a way that we could streamline our communication so that, it's there, we look, take a few, whatever, hours or whatever the case, look it over and then respond to that or something like that. Do y'all have any suggestions to maybe do something like that, or think that's makes any sense? Or once again, don't everybody say something at once now.
Well, yeah,
Well, I think since everyone's on a different schedule, that'd be super hard. But
you answered the question, Professor Hemingway. That's kind of a challenge. In an ideal situation, I think that would be great. But things are constantly happening. We're, our organization is in constant motion. We're back in the, something's happening all the time. So I wish I could commit to something like that, Professor Woolley. I certainly can't because of the role that I'm in. I'm not sure about the vice presidents and others, but as we get information from different areas, whether it's through our 3GAP process, through the cabinet or what have you, sometimes that information or actions need to be addressed within a time frame. Ideally, it would be great if it were all on Monday, but it doesn't happen that way from time to time. So hopefully that helps. It may not be a good response, but I think in terms of our environment and how we work as an institution, it's kind of hard to say, hey, we're only going to send things on Monday and that's it. So Tom, Dr. Mills, is there anything? I don't know if he's on the call. I don't know if there's anything he'd like to add, or Dr. Amon. I guess they left me high and dry. All right.
Okay. I'm writing that down too. All right. I've gotten that in my notes also. Okay.
That's all right. That's okay.
I think maybe one thing we can do, this is Tara, is that we can be probably clearer or more intentional about, hey, this thing came up. Either I really do kind of need some feedback on this pretty quickly, or the alternative of this isn't a 911 scenario. I'm not going to work on this until tomorrow or Thursday, so that the people we're communicating with can kind of also prioritize it in their list of priorities. I think could also be really helpful.
I agree with what Tara said.
I thought I saw Taylor first, and then Terry, and then Jamie Miller. So Taylor, Terry, and Jamie.
Okay. So I agree with Dr. Madison. Just speaking from a coordinator position, I have had situations where they pop up and they need to be fixed within 10 minutes. So it would be impractical for us to have a schedule like that. I know that I've emailed Amy at 7 o'clock, 8 o'clock at night and been like, I know you're not working, but this needs to get done, or we're talking about possibly losing students kind of situations. So yeah, I think it would be very difficult to do something like scheduling when emails would come through.
Okay. Terry?
Thanks, Chad. I think Mondays are a bit bumpy as is, and to have an email inbox flooded on that particular day might add additional stress. I also have confidence in the people that we all work with to be able to manage their own accounts. We're all human, so from time to time we're all going to drop a ball. But I think for the most part, we know when something's urgent and when something can, wait past 10 o'clock at night till the next morning. That's just my 2 cents.
All right, thank you, Terry. And Jim Schrantz does not ever drop any balls. I'm just saying that, okay? He doesn't. Jamie, what do you got?
I was gonna say that I think a large portion of issues that we end up having is when we are required to produce a deliverable. And if we trace the email back through the 4 people that it filtered through, it has taken a week. If that process were to be quicker somehow, I think the whole situation, y'all know what I'm talking about?
Yes, we do. Yes, we do.
So,
and
so it's like we're getting it
not gonna take
on the last day, even though it was requested a week ago by 4 levels up.
Right.
Okay, yeah, that's a valid point, Jamie. Everybody's got valid points. What about
Hey, Chad, let me
yes.
ask you a question real quick, and maybe to the group. I had a student last semester that worked 2 full-time jobs Monday through Friday, and the only time they could do their work was on Saturday and Sunday. And I typically try to not answer emails on the weekend, but because of this situation we're in, you're forced to, because that's the only time they can communicate with you. What do y'all think?
Yes, Hector. I mean, I had the same experience, Hector.
Yeah.
I mean, ultimately, we're here to serve the students.
Right.
I asked them not to email me because I may not see it over the weekend, so I gave them a Google Voice number that I didn't know I had.
Oh, okay.
So if something comes up, they can call me through that.
Right.
And I think everybody's bringing up valid points, which I enjoy. I think the key to it potentially could be just make sure it's in your syllabus. Make sure that they know this is the time and this is when you're going to get back to them. And, you can always alter that a little bit, if you see an emergency. But, like Marisha, if she lets them know, hey, the weekends, I may not respond on the weekends.
Right.
And
Not that I don't
sometimes
see
you do, you go through there and you do, but you might forget about it. So when I gave them that number, I've had a few to call that number.
Right.
And I want to take it real quick to shout out, I just saw Ernie. I want to give a shout out to all the admins because they do a fantastic job of sending information, filtering through, making sure we've got what we need, seeing what we need to have, and those type of things. So I want to tell everybody that if I got admins on here, how much that we all appreciate that, because it's not easy. I mean, I can barely take care of myself, but much less having to deal with everybody else.
Hey, Chad, can I ask a question of the faculty? I'm curious about what they anticipate might be different this semester. Like, are they anticipating any changes in students or things better, things worse? I'm curious.
I can speak, I mean, ours is a little different, of course, because I'm in nursing, but like the students that are coming in, they haven't had like a lot of the, like, I don't know if it's going to be the same for other disciplines too, but like our students are not going to have the same education they had the previous semesters. Like usually their first semester, they get like a whole lot of skills and things done. And because of everything, they're not getting that. So, we're kind of going in and taking, people into the hospital that have never talked to a human being, in a hospital. And so it's going to be a different setting, but I don't know if it's the same for you guys, if maybe because everything's online, that students are coming into your classes, maybe not as prepared, whether it's, informal stuff, like they also don't get the same, like in person. There's just something about in person for teaching certain things that really lends to certain subjects. So I don't know if any of you guys, especially maybe those that are in more mechanical things, that are seeing kind of a drop in, like you need to give a little bit more and kind of hold their hand a little bit more. We're definitely noticing that on the healthcare side of things.
That's interesting. Makes sense.
We're seeing that same thing. We're seeing that same thing with sign language, and quite honestly, we've gotten a lot of feedback from students that now, because we are in the same situation as nursing, but we need to have them back for skill set and being able to test the way the state test for certification goes. But we've had a lot of good feedback this fall, actually, of the in-class days, because we were able to lower some anxiety levels about, they were just able to talk to their professors easier. So I think there's a balance. And again, we're a CTE program like nursing, so there's a very different vibe there than there is academically. But I think we've actually had really positive feedback, and we were able to explain the online portion tools better, and then they picked them up and started using them better. So I think they found better balance between the online part of what we're doing and the in-person class of what we're doing. Socially distanced with mask, all the things.
Well, let me ask this question real quick. Jason, I see you're on here. Jason Wooten is our superstar in his department, kinesiology and all those good things. And at one time he was a super dean. Jason, with the subject you're teaching, what do you see with the students, like what Dean Gilley was asking? Do you see any of the challenges? What kind of challenges do you see that you've had to overcome?
Yeah, can you hear me okay?
Yes, sir.
And you asked for it, Chad.
There he is, right there. There he is.
No, I mean, there's a lot of common threads. I'm just agreeing with a lot. I haven't chatted a whole lot, but we've got similar kind of challenges as far as what other disciplines go through. I think when Dr. Mills the other day mentioned, basically erring on the side of compassion, I think were his words. I have been, I'm fairly accommodating anyway, I think. I like deadlines and rules and cut and dry. I don't like a lot of middle gray stuff, but like when Sheldon's talking about, hey, there's a student that's alleging something, I normally don't push back, or I haven't this time, as opposed to, normal times, you might say, I might be more curious, I might have more questions, but I've just been going with it. I don't really push back on all of that. I've just, that's one thing I've noticed. I'm probably more accommodating than normal.
Okay, what about the rest of you? Do you find that you're bending your syllabus, or you're, being more accommodating? Are you going against things that you have in your syllabus for students? And is that a good idea? I have a good friend of mine that doesn't necessarily, he's not going to, or she's not going to go against what's in the syllabus. So do you think that's a good practice, or what do you think? Jamie, I see your hands up.
I have my course set up so that they can drop grades and I don't care why. So that just covers everybody. So I don't have to decide whether you do or do not have COVID, whether you're lying or you're not. It's just, it seems to be fair across the board for everyone. I prefer that as opposed to trying to have to make individual decisions.
Okay.
Chad, I have a no late policy in my class, or I had one until we went through COVID, and now I'm gotten real benevolent and more understanding in terms of some of the things they go through, and they have to turn them in late. So I'll give them the benefit of the doubt.
Thanks, sir. Terry?
Well, I allow extra credit, but they have to actually do work. They have to write and tell me what they learned with those engagement activities. And it's like Jamie's dropping a grade. That's my way for them to actually do work, to learn something, to motivate them to stay with the program. And I don't have to decide whose reason is legit or not. And I don't make any exceptions to the syllabus except for the ones that I'm required by law to make. And I always make those. And for the newbies out there, if you make an exception for one student that you do not make for all students, you are in legal liability straight up. Ask any lawyer. So you got to be careful. You know, I know we're all compassionate people, but there are ways to build in a system to allow for those exceptions without putting yourself and the school in jeopardy.
Okay, well, you know I'm not compassionate, so let's don't even kid about that. But Marisha, what do you got real quick before I ask?
I was gonna say I never gave extra credit. It was no way I was gonna give you anything, but I did this time, and I even gave a quiz, and it was like you didn't even. The thing was, all you have to do is tell me you did it, because you were going to grade it yourself, and it was I call it on the honor system, and I had students that told me they did not do it.
Okay.
So they surprised me this time.
And Dean Gilly, let me ask you one quick question. How are we on time? Do we even know? Anyway, Dean Gilly, let me ask you a question as far as in the area of student complaints. So if you have a student that comes to you with a complaint about an instructor, what do you look for? What kind of recommendations do you have that is going to factor into your decision making?
Oh, yes. I like to call those concerns.
Okay. Those concerns. Okay.
Concerns. They do complain, but I like to call them student concerns. But yeah, that's a great question. I really haven't had that one, haven't had it here yet, but certainly the most challenging part, I think, of being a dean. Certainly not our most fun experience. So we try to ask faculty to, well, when I was a teacher too, right? Faculty to stop it before it comes to my desk. Try to stop it before it comes to my desk. So I find that the more upfront you are with students, because they tend to usually come at the end, right? The semester complaining about their grades, thinking that you gave them something, and they don't always understand they earned it. I'm sure you know what I'm talking about. So if you can head that off at the pass by making sure they are clear, I know that's not 100% possible, but clear about how you assess their work, how that assessment works in the longer term. I always made my grade book available, right? All their grades, because they don't keep track of them the way that I did when I was a student, so that they were always aware of it. They get into that habit of checking, and then they're up to date. It saves a lot of time in the end. Sometimes they come and they say, oh, this teacher hates me. And I always stick to the facts. I just tell them, look, I'm just here to get the facts, try to take everything personal out of it. So I make them show me the syllabus, show me the question that they have with that. And I try to go through the evidence with them, right? Almost like in a law case, the way I look at it. Let's look at the evidence, let's see what's happening. And I try to take the personal out of it. And one thing that might surprise you is students often come and they're just like so upset or this and that. And I always ask them, well, what do you want? What would you like me to do? What do you want? And they often don't know. They often can't tell me. They just often want to complain. So a lot of it is just kind of a de-escalation of that and finding out what the real problem is. And often what I find it's lack of communication, that somehow things were not clear between both sides. So I find my role is to try to make things clear, right? Try to go through the syllabus with them And if I have to, then the faculty and the student and I sit there and we try to, resolve that situation. But usually I try to keep it from even that point, and I've been able to do that. They usually just want to be heard, right? People just want to be heard. So I consider that kind of my role, if that makes sense. The other time that students tend to come to me is plagiarism. Sometimes they fail a class because they plagiarized. I'm sure it's happened to somebody here. And to have that discussion is usually quite much more painful because sometimes it's cultural. They don't necessarily understand, right? They come from cultures where that's acceptable. That's been my experience. So that's kind of a learning thing. And that's when I usually try to work with the faculty to come to some medium point to help the students so they just don't walk away from the situation. So does that help you, Chad? I mean, I'm really I try to get to the heart of what the issue is and then try to resolve it so everybody, walks away feeling that they got a resolution they liked. A little bit like a mediator, court mediator.
What about to the faculty? What are y'all, are you seeing any different issues or problems that students are concerned about? How's that, concerned about? That they bring their concerns to you? What type of concerns are you seeing? Mark Anderson, what do you have?
Honestly, Chad, I'm not seeing a huge difference from this past semester, this fall semester, and prior semesters. I know I'm hearing a lot of changes for different people, but for me, it's been pretty much the same. I haven't had a whole lot of unique concerns in the fall.
Robin, what do you got for me? Robin Baker, what do you have? Robin, you there? Maybe. Okay. Oh. Well, that was gone.
I do want to point out Teresa Dupree's had her hand up for a little bit.
Oh, I don't see that. Oh, okay. Go ahead. Teresa. Whoever Tara just said.
Yeah, I guess my hand is up. Hi. Okay. Oh, somehow my screen is not showing. But I would just like to make a quick comment about the communication with the administrators. So if I like to respond to my emails as soon as possible so I don't, forget or overwhelmed later. So if I cannot respond immediately, I usually will mark it as unread. So that way or flag it on the top so I remember to respond. As far as with the students, I like to use this remind.com, this app. The reason is because I put them in different classes. So that way, when they send me a message, I know which class they're in. Even though with the emails, I always ask them to tell me which class they're in, but a lot of times they just don't do it. But with the remind.com, I know which class they're from, so it's a lot easier for me to respond. I mean, faster. I can respond really, and also I get notice on my phone, the app. So I'm sorry?
I don't know. Somebody doesn't have their thing muted, so
I think somebody needs to be muted.
We're going to blame it on Hector. We're going to say it's Hector.
Mm-hmm.
But anyway, that's the comments on the communication. So it has been worked pretty well, but not perfect, but better than not using that.
Thank you. I'm going to ask Dr. Amon real quick. She's on here because I know that Dr. Amon and her side gets student concerns about classes. Dr. Amon, do you want to share anything that we should know about student concerns that come to you that we may not hear about?
I wouldn't say, not so much that we don't hear about. I think it's just really about us working together in partnership, and that if you encounter something that you're not sure of how best to handle, is to reach out to us. Probably Tim Kaysen is the best point person, but I'm always happy to try to be available as well to figure out, what is this individual student issue and how do we best address it? The soonest you can possibly do that, the better, because obviously, we have longer time, to be able to try to explore options, and then also if there's an urgent issue, to get someone connected to services or resources that they might need and everything urgently. I dropped in the chat also earlier that, at least for me, I'm mostly in meetings and getting bombarded with emails all the time. If you have an urgent student issue pop up, shoot me a chat, give me a call on Teams, because that might be a faster way of me addressing an issue that might come your way as well. And then I also mentioned yesterday too that we're going to try to put together for you all a list of FAQs that will address probably some of the most common concerns that we hear about coming from you and coming through the care team, to be able to try to give you just another roadmap maybe that might be a source of support. And so as we develop those FAQs, I definitely want to tap into some of your expertise to see if we've captured the bulk of the things that are kind of coming your way that will be a resource to everybody.
All right, thank you.
Sure.
All right. Anybody else got anything we want to say or throw it out there or anything? Mark Ely? No, that's not a good choice. That's not a good choice, Mark.
I do. For communication, I use GroupMe, but if you're a person that has boundaries, you will not like this. But I put all the students in there, and that kind of takes the place of the classroom. So if they need to ask somebody, what page are we supposed to be turning in? I don't have to answer that email. They can post it in the GroupMe, and someone else will usually get to it before I do. But again, like I said, if you have boundaries, because I answer stuff 24/7. So, but we did, Taylor and I did one this last semester, and we kind of had a high school kid in there who didn't, he didn't understand adult conversation. So he kind of got a little wild, but for the most part, it works. It works pretty nice.
So Jamie's having adult conversations in her class. Okay, interesting. Teresa, what do you have? I'm sorry I missed you, Teresa. I had to scroll down to see you. Teresa, what do you got?
Are you talking about Teresa Triggs or Teresa Dupree?
Teresa Dupree. Oh,
I'm here. My thing was, being that we have gone virtual, and I'm a professor in the nursing department. And by the way, all your tips and comments and concerns, all are great. But since we went virtual, I mean, my availability is constant. I mean, I just feel like I just need to be accessible to my students. I'm the director of the Student Success Center, and, we get a lot of students that reach out in the 23rd hour and they want help right then and there. So I just feel like in my role and me being a nursing professor and a nurse, I just feel like I need to have that open door policy. And, there are days that I do shut down, but, for the most part, when I'm not busy, I do respond right away to my students and try to, help them complete whatever they need to complete. So that's just my thoughts since we went virtual. It's just, I noticed that my availability has increased.
So Teresa, let me ask you while I've got you, do you, and this is for everybody too, do you ever reach out to them on the phone, or is it strictly email? Or for the other faculty, Teresa, I want you to comment first, but for the other faculty, do y'all ever just pick up the phone and talk to them that way, or what do you do?
Well, my modality right now has been Blackboard Collaborate. I do have a call-in line where they can call me and leave a message, and I can call them back if they choose to want to talk to me on the telephone, but my Blackboard Collaborate is open, you know, during college hours, 9 to 5. And if they need to make an appointment with me, they email me and we set that up. And I have done appointments on Saturdays and Sundays, it depends on my availability. So.
Okay, and you find the appointments work well, the appointment system?
Yes, so.
Okay, well, thank you, Teresa. I see April's got her hand up. April Packer.
Thank you, Chad. No, I was just going to piggyback on that last question. I am a person with some pretty clear boundaries. And of course, in this COVID season, I've had to relax some things in order to just be definitely available. But what I've found is that the students really do, my experience, you always got one that's a Jesse James in the group. But from what I've found is that the students really do comply with the parameters that you put out there. In my syllabus, I say, you know, emails, and I actually have a texting number. It comes to my phone. Of course, it is not my personal number, but I have a texting app. And I'll say, if you text or email me over the weekend, I forewarn them that it could be a slow response. Now, they don't know that I'm actually checking. If it's an emergency, I'll know it. But the mere fact that I put it out there that it's going to be a slow response, because I live a life too. Like, I like to do my, you know, grocery runs and things like that. So, like, believe it or not, I live a real life. So, you know, when I put that out there for them, they have honestly been very compliant with that. I don't have a lot of bombarding things over the weekend. And I don't, you know, when they do, if it's an emergency, I will definitely reach back, but I haven't really had that. And I also will reach out to my students. I have reached out and emailed one or text one. If they've texted me and I know how to get in touch with them that way, I'll text one and say, you know, it'll be great for us to kind of get together, connect for a meeting. Let me know if you want to do it, you know, virtually, face to face, like a Zoom or whatever, or if you want a phone call. And I've done that. I definitely will reach out to them first. I try not to, especially if I see problems, I try not to wait for them to reach out to me. In this particular season, I try to reach out to them first. Try to be a little bit more proactive.
Oh, thank you. I see Marisha's got her hand up.
Yeah, I think most of us, you know, have the boundaries, like she said, and most of us still look. You know, we say, okay, at 6 o'clock, I'm not going to look anymore. And then it's 6:30, 7:45, you're sitting around and you might be watching TV, but you just flip over your computer just to see if somebody did write you or email you. So I think most of us do that. I do tell them that, you know, try hard not to wait till the last minute about a test. You know, I like you said, I take everything, but it's 5 minutes to whatever time the test is going to close and you're just now starting, then it's basically nothing I can do.
Right.
I want to ask one more question before we go, and we've got, and this is to Tara. Tara is our superstar in the dual credit area, and dual credit is growing every semester. We're getting new programs, student population is growing. Hey, Tara. What are you seeing, Tara? What advice, what comments that you hear from counselors and things like that? What recommendations do you have that would help us do a better job as far as with our dual credit students and our dual credit classes?
You know, I think we have done a really good job of explaining that these are college classes. You know, we need to treat these students as college students as much as possible. You know, the challenges that we have with dual credit tend to be just like those mechanics, like getting grades in. We have to submit alpha and numeric grades, and so currently the system that we have doesn't make that easy for anyone. And so you might be getting some shout outs from my department to get those grades in. Thanks, guys. So you know, the good news is that is something that they took into consideration as we move over to a new ERP and to Canvas. And so if we can just hang tough with those grade reports here for the next little while, then hopefully in fall it'll be a lot better. Yes, Candace Torres, Proctorio. I forget about those. I forget about those early on challenges that we do have. Technology is different for all of our different entities, and so one ISD might use Chromebooks, and who knew that Proctorio had an issue with Chromebooks, or that their admissions tests cause problems with Chromebooks. And so not the admissions test itself, but the proctoring service that we use to administer the TSI. So a lot of it, we're just kind of learning as we go too. I think we've made it through most of our hiccups for this current environment. I'm happy to answer any questions that come up. With dual credit, I have an awesome team. Sean Johnson, who's been with us forever. And then we also picked up Janaea Williams to work with our ECHS and PTech programs. So super happy to have their experience and spirit to help out with that awesome population. But thank you for all of your support for those who work with that unique population.
Thank you, T. Looks like everybody's leaving. Before you go, Hector, what words of wisdom do you have for the group?
Hang in there. You're doing great. Just hang in there, be understanding, and work with the students.
And once this is over, we're going to have a huge party in Cleburne at Hector Menchaca's place.
Let's do it.
Sheldon, what do you got for him? Uh-oh, Sheldon's on the golf course again. There he is. I see him. He's on the golf course.
Chad, we didn't get to the whole community thing and learning communities, but just to mention this, I realize that when students get a chance to go out into the community and actually volunteer and do some work, that is really good for networking. And also it lets them realize, you know, a lot of times just how they could connect some of the things that they've learned inside the classroom with what's actually going on outside the classroom. So one quick example is I work at one of the biggest substance abuse rehab clinics in the US, and my students come and volunteer with me, as many as would like to, and I use it as extra credit. And some of them even came out during COVID, right? Quite a lot of them actually. And when they get to actually kind of see that, and then it creates that bond too between, it can help to create a bond between you and the student. And I start telling them about certain things. It just depends on how much you want to open up about your life. For everyone, it's different. For me, I just kind of put it out there. But it helps to create a certain type of relationship, good professional working relationship, that you could kind of then get to talk to the students about certain types of things. And then when they see how what we talk about inside the classroom is actually going on outside the classroom, I think that really does help. So I'm all for learning communities and doing stuff in the community. It's one thing to talk about definitions and theories and all that type of stuff, but it's another thing when you could actually put a face to a theory or a definition and realize that you're dealing with an actual person or a business or a circumstance. So that's all I got to say.
I'm going to give a shout out to Sheldon. Sheldon never brags on himself, so I'm going to. I know that y'all work hard, but I'm going to tell you, Sheldon, in all the years I've known him, he is constantly working. I mean, the man is giving back to the community. He is always mentoring faculty, students. I mean, there's never a time where Sheldon doesn't have somebody at his cubicle that he's trying to help or guide. Sheldon's got an amazing life story. You do have some things on YouTube, do you not, Sheldon? Some
My YouTube channel got monetized on Christmas Day, and that was like, but I'm still a small YouTuber, but goal for 2021 is make it big on YouTube.
But Sheldon he truly doesn't just talk the talk, he walks the walk. So if you have any questions, things that with Sheldon, he is fantastic. I know that Terry and Hector, there's a ton of y'all that do a fantastic job of service learning and all of that. But as we wrap up, I want to thank everybody. Y'all are fantastic. Thank you for coming. If you have any questions, please don't send them to me. Before I let you go, Dean Gilley's going to say something. She's going to want you to send the questions to her. Am I right, Dean Gilley?
Sure, then I'll send them right back to you, Chad. So
Ah,
we can
Dean Gilly,
get that
Dean
change
Gilly.
going.
What do you
Yeah,
have
so
for us,
great,
Dean Gilly?
everyone, and this is a great conversation. I learned a lot, and made me both miss teaching and not miss teaching. So I hope everyone takes care of themselves, and I think it's important from what I heard is that everyone has to carve out their own space and time, and I think we all respect that. So I think that's really important. Right. So I look forward to meeting everyone, and thanks so much.
And I will try to collate all the questions and comments and ideas that were gathered in our chat, and try to put those in some kind of synthesis, since, have it make sense and provide some resources. How's that?
Tara, you're a superstar. No doubt about it. Tara is a superstar.
Thanks, guys. Y'all are
All right.
amazing.
Thanks, guys. Good job, Chad.